if you've ever played this game before, then you'll know that it's quite difficult. But the really good players find ways to make it easier. Now there's lots of ways to do that, but I'm going to cover off 5 of the most popular in this video that they will use on almost every single frame. The first of which is that the centre of the pocket isn't always the centre of the pocket. Let me show you what I mean. So if we start with a shot where we can see the full pocket and aim straight in the middle of it, then we pot the ball. But what this does is it gives us a little bit of leeway both to the left and the right, where if we're not entirely accurate with our shot, we can still make the pot. However, if we look at a shot into a middle pocket, we can see far less of the pocket. If we aim at the middle of it, then we pot the ball. If we hit slightly to the left, we also pot the ball. But now we don't have any leeway on the right hand side. Ever so slightly to the right and we miss the shot. So instead of aiming right at the centre of the pocket, we should aim a little bit out to the wide part of it. So we've hit the wide part there. Now we've still got our leeway on the left hand side. So if we hit that, and we do have to hit this one soft, it will go in. But importantly, we now have that leeway on the right hand side as well. And it's similar with rail shots. Let's aim right at the centre of the pocket, we make the pot. If we aim slightly to the right, we also make the pot. But slightly to the left, and guess what? We miss. So what to do instead is aim almost just at the very edge of the knuckle. So you see, if we do that, then we make the shot. A bit more to the right, so further up the rail, and we're still making it. But now we've introduced that leeway on the left hand side, where if we're not entirely accurate, we still make it. Now a really common shot in pool is to pot a ball down the rail. Now in UK pool especially, that's quite a tricky shot, but there's a very neat little tip on how to make them a lot easier. Let me show you. Okay, so here I'm replicating a shot down the rail and I'm aiming for that chalk. You can see if I hit a plain ball, I miss the pot. If I aim it with right hand side, I also miss it. But if I put left hand side on this ball, you can see I make the pot even though I still hit the chalk mark. So let's see what that looks like when you play with a cue ball. So a plain ball shot again, I'll hit the chalk and I miss. What I can do is if I put left hand spin on the cue ball, I'm going to impart spin on the object ball and now I can make it. Making a shot much easier. We're all guilty at times of trying to be too precise with position, but it's actually a key skill knowing when to take your medicine and leave yourself a more difficult pot. Here's an example. So here we've got a chance to win the frame, but you can see our last red ball is partially hidden. We can try and get on it with bottom right hand spin, but it's not an easy shot. Let's try it with top left and try and swing the cue ball round the cushions. I hit it quite well, but it is difficult to get on. A much better option is just to play it simple. Just a little bit of bottom on the cue ball and leave yourself a kind of middle distance pot. You're guaranteed position on it and you would normally back yourself to make this pot in a frame. This now makes the finish a lot easier than if we tried to be too precise with position. Now when a good player comes to the table, they'll be assessing it and they'll be looking at any potential problems. Now a key point that they'll always make is to try and solve that problem as early as possible. By doing so, it means that if they miss it on the first attempt, they might have another go at it. And also, if they're trying to bring out a ball, for example, and they don't land on it, if they've done it early in their break, then there are other options on the table that they might be able to pot. So let's look at one of those examples now. In this example, you can see that I've got one bad ball. Now it's a slightly tricky shot, but if I play this with top left hand spin, I can try and take that ball out straight away. And if I get it, you can see that I'm left with lots of options for various pots, even if I didn't land on the one that I was trying to cannon. Before I move on to the last point, can I just make a very quick request? If you've enjoyed this video, or indeed you appreciate the time and effort that I put into making all of these videos, then please just hit me with a like and a comment. It actually makes a great deal of difference to this channel in terms of getting more views and more subscribers. So thanks in advance. And on to the last point. We mentioned earlier that it's a good idea to tackle any potential problems early in the frame. But that is not always the case. Sometimes it's best not to cannon a ball, to leave it where it is and play maybe a slightly trickier positional shot. So let's look at this last point now. In this example, we've got a slightly awkward ball on the left-hand cushion. Now, we can try and cannon it out because we've got a good angle on this right now, but you see, if we do that, we don't land on anything at all. When the ball is close to the cushion like that, and you want to cannon it from that angle, you need to be quite precise with the pace. Your only way to get that red ball into a better position is to try and move it over the middle pocket. Now that is quite difficult, so perhaps a better option is just to back yourself to pot it and play position on it. It is slightly tricky on a UK pool table. Pots down the cushion aren't the easiest, but if you get right behind it like I have here and you don't have anything to do with the cue ball, then it makes the pot a lot easier. From then on, it's quite a simple finish. Most of the balls are pottable, and it's just a case of taking them in the right order. Hopefully you found something useful in this video. That is 5 tips, but there are far more of them that good players do to make this game easier. And if you haven't done so already, then please remember to like and subscribe to this video. Thanks.